along with the service, you can go to our webpage at rivergrassreview.org, and right there, scroll down a little bit and you'll see the link to order of service. That's probably the easiest way to find it. Gary, over to you.
I pledge allegiance to the people of this country and of all the world, and to the republic which lends a hand, one planet under peace, with liberty and justice for all. With liberty justice for all.
This is not a good sign. I'm already in tears. Thank you for that beautiful song, Cecilia and Gary. Written by Gary, by the way. Yes. Good morning, and welcome again to the beloved community here at River of Grass UU Congregation, both here in person and love streamed via Zoom and Facebook Live. We celebrate all the ways that we can gather in our beloved community, both in body and in spirit, as we go and grow and flow the river way. My name is Leanna Bresnahan. This is Susan Scotch-Bejarano. We are doing the service together today. And I'd like to just point out that Rev Amy, our beloved minister, is here usually 3 to 4 Sundays a month. And on that odd Sunday, we, the members of River of Grass, step up and prepare our own worship services. So that is what you are here for today. For all of you here in this room, it's so wonderful to see your smiling faces. And for those of you who have joined us on Zoom, we're so happy you're here as well. However you made your way here, we're happy that you all are here. At River of Grass, we are committed to our mission to nurture our spirits, to love intentionally, and to create a just and healthy planet. What we share here at River of Grass is not an unchanging dogma, but rather a deep and abiding commitment to our free and responsible search for truth, meaning, and faith. And our affirmation that we are called to be agents of love and justice, and to build a world where everyone is cherished for who they are. This morning, as we continue our month-long contemplation of the theme of beauty, we continue to celebrate our beautiful new space that we've just moved into. And for those of you who are here for the first time, welcome. We also celebrate being back with our things that were in storage for almost 4 years. It feels so good to be sitting in our chairs again and looking at our artwork again and so forth. We begin this very special morning 1 week and 1 day before Earth Day by contemplating the unity of our beautiful planet Earth and humankind. So we're going to begin this morning in a little different way. We're going to listen to this recording of NASA astronaut Rusty Schweickart, who was the lunar module pilot in 1969 for Apollo 9. These are words that he spoke a few years later in 1974, reflecting on his transformative, life-changing experience of being in space and viewing our blue boat home from there. So be patient with us just for a minute. And you're going to tell us if it's too loud.
How many borders and boundaries you cross, again and again and again. And you don't even see them. And that wake-up scene, the year before, there you are, hundreds of people killing each other over some imaginary line that you're not even aware of, and you can't see. And from where you see it, the thing is a whole, and it's so beautiful. And you wish you could take one in each hand and say, look, one on each side. Look at it from this perspective. Look at that. What's important? And now he looks back, and he sees the earth not as something big, where he can see the beautiful details, but now he sees the earth as a small thing out there. And now that contrast between that bright blue and white Christmas tree ornament and that black sky, that infinite universe, really comes through. And the size of it, the significance of it, it becomes both things. It becomes so small and so fragile and such a precious little spot in that universe that you can block out with your thumb. And you realize that on that small spot, that little blue and white thing, is everything that means anything to you. All of history and music and poetry and art and war and death and birth and love tears, joy, gains, all of it on that little spot out there that you can cover with your thumb. And you realize that perspective has, that you changed, that there's something new there. That relationship is no longer what it was.
Thank you, Rusty Schweikert. And now this morning, we open our hearts wider still as our River of Grass Choir, directed by Theo Lucas, brings us this month's theme hymn, inviting us into contemplation of the splendor of the planet where we live, our Blue Boat home. It is so apt for this morning's theme. It is called For the Beauty of the Earth.
Chalice is a symbol of our Unitarian Universalist tradition, a beacon of religious liberty shining through generations, now ours to hold high. Our chalice lighting this morning was written by Joy Harjo. It is entitled Remember. We invite our chalice lighter, Emma Enright, to please come forward and light the chalice. Remember the sky that you were born under. Know each of the stars' stories. Remember the moon. Know who she is. Remember the sun's birth at dawn? That is the strongest point of time. Remember sundown and the giving away tonight. Remember your birth, how your mother struggled to give you form and breath. You are evidence of her life and her mother's and hers. Remember your father, he is your life also. Remember the earth, whose skin you are, red earth, black earth, yellow earth, white earth, brown earth. We are earth. Remember the plants, trees, animal life who all have their tribes, their families, their histories too. Talk to them, listen to them. They are alive poems. Remember the wind, remember her voice. She knows the origin of this universe. Remember, you are all people, and all people are you. Remember you are this universe, and this universe is you. Remember all is in motion, is growing, is you. Remember language comes from this. Remember the dance language is, that life is. Remember. In the light of love, let us renew our covenant together. Call and response style this morning. I'll speak its parts and you answer, please. Love is the spirit of this congregation.
Love is the spirit of this congregation.
And service is its law.
And service is its law.
This is our great covenant.
This is our great covenant.
To dwell together in peace.
To dwell together in peace.
To seek the truth in love.
To seek the truth in love.
And to help one another.
And to help one another.
El amor es el espíritu de esta congregación.
El amor es el espíritu de esta congregación.
Y el servicio su ley principal.
Y el servicio su ley principal.
Esta es nuestra gran promesa.
Esta es nuestra gran promesa.
Vivir juntos en paz.
Vivir juntos en paz.
Buscar la verdad.
Buscar la verdad.
A través del amor.
A través del amor.
Y ayudarnos mutuamente.
Y ayudarnos mutuamente.
Susan, somehow we forgot to ring the chimes.
Never too late, right?
They're so beautiful. These are the ones we didn't have for 4 years.
Go ahead, just ring the chimes.
That's a new way to do it.
When I was a boy each week, on Sundays we would go to church, pay attention to the priest. He would read the holy word, consecrate the holy bread, and everyone would kneel and bow. Today the only difference is everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. Sundays we would go to school. We would learn about the time Moses took the sea to So the challenging thing becomes not to look for miracles, but finding where there isn't one. When holy water was rare at best, barely wet my fingertips, but now I have to hold my breath like I'm swimming in a sea of it. There used to be a world half there, heaven took great hand me down, and now I walk it with the brethren there, 'cause everything is holy now. Everything, everything, everything is holy now. Read a questioning child's face and say that's not a testament. Well, that'd be very hard to say. See another new morning come and say that's not a sacrament. I tell you that it can't be done. This morning outside I stood, saw a little red-winged bird shining like a burning bush, singing like a scripture verse. Made me wanna bow my head. I remember when church let out, how things have changed since then, 'cause everything is holy now. There used to be a world half there, heaven's second grade hand me down. Now I walk it with a reverent air, 'cause everything is holy now.
Thank you. In our community each week, we share pieces of our lives. We take a moment to share our joys and sorrows and gratitudes. Here with people who love us for exactly who we are, where we are right now. Here in this room, we share from this book. And if you're on Zoom, and would like to share a thought, a prayer, a joy, or a concern with us in this moment, please write it in the chat, and we will lift all of these up together. And now in the quiet of this hour, if there is something on your own heart that you wish to mark without words this morning, you are invited to come forward and drop a stone of reflection in this water as we hold one another in sacred community. For as William James wrote, we are like islands in the sea, separate on the surface, but connected in the deep. So let us share a moment of silent reflection, connecting us to all those who are unique. We lift these things, spoken and unspoken, written and unwritten, asking that our hearts be seen, even as we ourselves become seers of hearts, that we may serve one another and those beyond our walls with love and thankfulness today and every day. Amen, 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 aho ashe, namaste, blessed be, and so it is. And now let us sing together the lyrics from number 381 in your hymnal. This morning, for our heritage and hope contemplation, and to illustrate the unity of humankind, Susan and I have chosen two people who are not Unitarian Universalists. And Susan will begin by telling you about Archbishop Oscar Romero from El Salvador.
Archbishop Oscar Arnulfo Romero was born August 15, 1917, and he was assassinated in public by a paid assassin while saying Mass on March 24, 1980. Archbishop Oscar Romero was a Catholic priest in the Central American country of El Salvador. He spoke out against violence and social injustice in the escalating conflict between the right-wing military government, including wealthy landowners, and the left-wing resistance in the Civil War in El Salvador. The right-wing government was relentless in its oppression of its people, keeping them impoverished. Violence was used to keep the poor oppressed. People were gunned down at protests. Torture, massacres, and disappearances were all common in this dark time. As the violence raged on, leftist guerrilla rebels returned to the violence. At first, Archbishop Romero tried to stay out of politics and was on the conservative side of the Catholic Church. He did not align with the emerging liberation theology of the time, which was a call to faith to stand with the poor and oppressed. However, when Romero's closest friend, who was also a priest, along with an old man and a teenage boy, were killed by high-powered military weapons while traveling along a rural country road, Archbishop Romero could no longer look away. Up to this point, he aligned with the government and the wealthy landowners. The murder of his dear friend broke through his denial and brought transformation. He now could see that his own government was murdering its own people. He knew he must stand in solidarity with the poor and oppressed of his country. At the last Mass Archbishop Romero celebrated, when he finished his homily calling for all to stand for peace and justice, even if it meant suffering, he turned to go back to the altar when a shot was fired from the back of the chapel. Archbishop Romero was mortally wounded. He was rushed to a hospital, but soon was pronounced dead. It was a chilling reality throughout the country that night. It seemed unbelievable to people that their own government was desperate to the point of murdering the Archbishop as he said Mass. Archbishop Oscar Romero was canonized as a saint in the Catholic Church. He is deeply revered as one who taught of a compassionate God who stands on the side of the poor and rejects any form of violence. A beloved quote of Romero's is, "I do not believe in death without resurrection. If they kill me, I will be resurrected in the Salvadoran people." This is our heritage.
Our hope this morning is a young woman originally from Pakistan named Malala Yousafzai. Malala was born in 1997 to a family that cherished education. Her father ran a school for girls in their village of Migora. In 2008, the Taliban took control of their village and banned many things, such as owning a television or playing music. They also forbade girls from attending school. Malala bravely defied the Taliban by speaking publicly on behalf of girls' right to learn. In October 2012, a masked gunman boarded her bus looking for Malala and shot her point blank in the head. Gravely injured, her family was able to get her to a hospital in Birmingham, England, where she came out of her coma 10 days after the attack. Badly disfigured from the attack, she slowly recovered her health. And instead of remaining quiet, she chose to establish the Malala Fund and to dedicate herself to fighting to ensure every girl, everywhere in the world, has the chance to get an education. In recognition of her work in December 2014, at the age of 17, Malala became the youngest person ever to receive the Nobel Peace Prize. And she's become a hero for the rights of girls everywhere around the world, girls who are fighting to escape poverty, war, child marriage, and gender discrimination. The Malala Fund reports that today, there are 120 million school-age girls around the world who no longer attend school, and thus are denied the opportunities that education brings. Courageous, committed young people such as Malala, today she is just 27 years old. These are people who dedicate their lives to fighting for the rights of others. They are our hope. We sustain and strengthen the beloved community and its work in our world through the gifts of our time, our skills, our love, and our money. Each Sunday, half of our undesignated offerings go to LifeNet for Families, which provides meals, clothing, and support for those who are in need here in Broward County. And the other half supports our mission and ministry here at River of Grass. Ushers, if you would please come forward to receive the offering. Thank you for your generous gifts from the heart. That song is so special to us. That was sung in one of the first space bridges between Moscow and San Francisco in the depths of the Cold War back in 1984. And it was a choir of children in San Francisco and a choir of children in Moscow singing in Russian. You can look it up on YouTube. It's the most beautiful thing in the world. So thank you for that beautiful version, Sister. Our story this morning, our wisdom tale, is going to be told from the perspective of a very wise being, the old turtle. And our storyteller, making her way to the stage, is Diane Diaz.
I have to ask a question before we start. Can this side of the room see?
You want to move forward a little bit?
Yeah. We are working.
Stand up. No, we stay used to this new space. Okay. We need it on. Here we go.
I love you.
Is your microphone on?
I'm not sure where. Our young kids are great. Why don't you guys sit over here? Okay, is that good? Yep. Okay. Old Turtle, a story written by Douglas Wood and watercolors by Chen Ki Chi. Before I do the story, I want to say we have 2 copies of this book here today. And both of them will be up on this table afterwards because often we're able to project the beautiful illustrations that so many children's books have. These are remarkable watercolor pictures, and I urge all of you to pass them around after service or take your time looking at them. Once, long, long ago, yet somehow not so very long, when all the animals and rocks and winds and waters and trees and birds and fish and all the beings of the world could speak and understand one another, there began an argument. It began softly at first, quiet as the first breeze that whispered, "He is a wind who is never still." Quiet as the stone that answered, "He is a great rock that never moves." Gentle as the mountain that rumbled, "God is a snowy peak high up the clouds." And the fish in the ocean that answered, "God is a swimmer in the dark blue depths of the sea." "No," said the star, "God is a twinkling and a shining far, far away." "No," replied the ant, "God is a sound and a smell and a feeling who is very, very close." "God," said the antelope, "is a runner, swift and free, who loves to leap and race with the wind." "She is a great tree," murmured the willow, "a part of the world, always growing and always giving." "You are wrong," argued the island. "God is separate and apart." "God is like the shining sun, far above all things," said the blue sky. "No, he is a river who flows through the very heart of things," thundered the waterfall. "She is a hunter," roared the lion. "God is gentle," chirped the robin. "His powerful garb," growled the bear. And the argument grew louder and louder and louder. "Stop!" A new voice spoke. It rumbled loudly like thunder. It whispered softly like butterfly sneezes. The voice seemed to come from Old Turtle. No, Old Turtle hardly said anything ever, and never argued about things like God. But now Old Turtle began to speak. "God is indeed deep," she said to the fish in the sea, "and much higher than high," she told the mountains. "He is swift and free as the wind, and still and solid as a great rock. she said to the breezes and stones. She is the life of the world, Turtle said to the willow, always close by, yet beyond the farthest twinkling light. She told the ant and the star, God is gentle and powerful, above all things and within all things. God is all that we dream of and all that we seek. Said old turtle, all that we come from and all that we can find. God is. Old turtle had never ever said so much before. All the beings of the world were surprised and became very quiet. But old turtle had one more thing to say. There will be soon a new family of beings in the world, she said, and they will be strange and wonderful. They will remind us of all that God is. They will come in many colors and shapes, with different faces and different ways of speaking. Their thoughts will soar to the stars, but their feet will walk the earth. They will possess many powers. They will be strong yet tender. A message of love from God to the earth, and a prayer from the earth back to God. And the people came. But the people forgot. They forgot that they were a message of love and a prayer from the earth. And they began to argue about who knew God and who did not, and where God was and was not, and whether God was or was not. And often the people misused their powers and hurt one another or killed one another. And they hurt the earth until finally even the forests began to die. And the rivers and the oceans and the plants and the animals, the earth itself, because the people could not remember who they were or where God was. Until one day there came a voice like growling of thunder, but as soft as butterfly seizes. Please stop. The voice seemed to come from the mountain who rumbled. Sometimes I see God swimming in the dark blue depths of the sea, and from the ocean who sighed. He's often among the snow-capped peaks, reflecting the sun from the stone who said, I sometimes feel her breath as she blows by. And from the breeze who whispered, I feel his still presence as I dance among the rocks. And the stars said, God is very close. And the island said, his love touches everything. And after a long time, lonesome and scary, the people listened and began to hear and to see God in one another and in the beauty of all the earth. And old turtle smiled. And so did God.
Let's sing our children's class. Old turtle, so wise. Let's sing together. You guys haven't had the chance yet. Please turn to page 159 in your hymnal. The song is This Is My Song. It was written, the melody, by John Sibelius back in 1899 as a political protest song in Finland, protesting control of the press by Russia, by Tsarist Russia. If you recognize the tune but not the words, that's because we have another hymn, number 318, We Would Be One, which has the same melody, and we sing that one more often. But please rise in body or in spirit to sing together. note to self, when you're leading a service and there's a hymn to sing, find somebody who can actually sing well to lead the hymn. Oh, you're so sweet. Rev Amy always says that hymns are written just a little bit high for most people's comfort, and that is certainly true for me, so. Okay, so Susan and I had so much fun putting this together. One of the most awesome things about being a member of this beautiful, beloved community is the amazing people that you get to hang out with. And this statement could not be any truer than talking about Susan Sketch Bejarano. You see, Susan just moved here to South Florida from Asheville, North Carolina. And as a UU, she pretty quickly got in touch with our office and said, hey, I'd like some information about this place called River of Grass. So it was in that context that I gave her a call, and after 1.5 hours of conversation, no exaggeration, we hung up having discovered just how much we had in common and a feeling that we were longtime friends who had just met. One of the most profound things that we found was that we shared a deep passion for this planet and for the unity of our human family. That conversation, and ones that we have had since, has reawoken in me my passion for what we are calling today one planet, one peace, one people, one peace. So in this month, when we are considering the theme of beauty, I ask you, is there anything that you can imagine that is more beautiful than this blue boat home that we inhabit? The image of Earth from space, which came into our vision and our knowledge just about 50 years ago, to me is so beautiful and so powerful that it has the ability to change our way of thinking, our way of feeling, of really transforming profoundly, as Russ V. Schweikert said earlier, our perception of ourselves. And so now I would like to turn it over to Susan.
Thank you, Leanna. It was a joy to get Leanna's call, welcoming me to your beautiful congregation. How fortunate I felt to have such a generous soul as Leanna, sharing so many significant things. So many significant things that were so important to both of our hearts. So when Leanna asked me to work on this service with her, I was delighted. Leanna and I were asking each other, how did you become a person who believes so deeply in the interconnection of all of us as one human family together and with the earth and all creation? You know how you just know things? Well, not that you think it, not that you believe it, not that you hope it, but that you truly know it in the core of your being. Since as long as I can remember, I have known in this way that we are all interconnected, and that love is the answer.
So a little bit about my own story, a lot of you know already. I grew up in the middle of the country in Missouri in a rather homogeneous, white Anglo-Saxon Protestant background, if you will. And my soul was really set free when in 5th grade I started learning French. And then as a university student, I studied abroad. My mother, who's right here, will tell you I came back from France a changed person. And what I say is, living in France that year made me the person that I am today. Ken and I became UUs way back in 1984 when we joined the Monterey Peninsula Unitarian Church, Unitarian Universalist Church. And we also joined what was known as the Beyond War movement at the same time. So for me, being a UU, to a large extent, also means adhering to the tenets of the Beyond War movement, which are inspired by the image of Earth from space, and which centers its actions on the belief statement, we are one. Beyond War also taught that with the invention of nuclear weapons, humankind was drifting toward unprecedented catastrophe unless we ended war and learned to resolve conflict using nonviolent means. And we also committed to work together with others to build a world beyond war. During Ken's Army career, we lived in 3 different countries, Venezuela, Germany, and Panama. In each place, we formed deep friendships with our neighbors, and we adapted to live comfortably in those cultures so unlike our own. So we know from our lived experience that most people everywhere are mostly good, and that what unites us as human beings far surpasses what differentiates us one from the other. So when I look back and reflect on how I became passionate about human rights, I think it has to do with, number one, the love with which I was raised in my family, looking at you, Mom. Also, the traditional US values I learned through my education, you know, the one about all men, well, let's say all humankind is created equal. And also from the teachings of Jesus Christ, as I understood from my Christian faith, to live according to the golden rule, to love your neighbor as yourself, and to care for those less fortunate than you. Then along the line, it became a UU. And I'll say more about how this is all congruent with our UU faith in a minute. But all of these factors roiled around in the vortex of my soul, and by my early 30s, I began to identify as a human rights advocate and activist. And even as my career, my professional career, ended up being promoting respect for human rights from within the US government. Go figure. Susan, over to you.
Thank you, Leanna. That is beautiful. Well, for my part, I grew up in a Catholic family, second oldest of 5 kids. As a family, we went to church every Sunday. My parents sent us to Catholic grade school and high school. I had a strong faith, though I questioned much of the Catholic dogma. Also, I found my spirituality nurtured more in nature than in a church. Next, I attended the University of Wisconsin, where I encountered social justice activism in the Peace Coalition and the cause of US out of El Salvador. That summer of 1980, I went to Guatemala to learn about the reality of what was happening there. It was a small group of 15 seminarians led by 3 Catholic nuns, and tagging along was another college student, myself, and one of the seminarians' dad, Bob the dentist. San Lucas Toliman, near Lake Atitlan, is the place where those seeds in my heart of the deep knowing of the one love were generously watered and illuminated with such sunlight and the beauty of the people, the indigenous cultures, and the green earth, that my heart was cracked open. I was forever changed. We learned about life there, what it took to survive, the desperate need that the campesino families had for a little plot of land where they could grow food to feed their families, rather than working on the plantations of wealthy landowners and earning an unlivable wage that kept them in poverty. We worked in the parish orphanage and nutrition center. The children were just precious. So many sad stories though. Bob, the dentist, was prepared to see local people and meet basic dental needs. They put the word out for people to come. Bob asked if I would translate for him, which was laughable, but it seemed I had the most Spanish of anyone on the trip. And it's also funny to note that the first time I was introduced to Spanish, I was also in 5th grade, and Leanna and I laughed about that, because to me it was like a secret language or a code, and I just thought it was like magical. So anyway, conversing with native speakers is quite a different thing than classroom Spanish, as we all know. So I did my best, and that was kind of shaky. Julio, a young man from the parish, drove the Jeep. He would translate the local dialects to Spanish for me, and I to Bob in English. So what kind of dental work can be done in the middle of the jungle, under a thatched roof, with no running water or electricity? Extractions of abscessed teeth. Wow. Again, I felt the pain and the beauty of the people. Never had I known such need, nor felt such deep connection to these, my brothers and sisters. Returning home to Minnesota was a culture shock. Together as a group, we processed all we had learned and presented it at the university that sponsored the trip. Next was a semester in Spain, living with a lovely Spanish family with 6 kids. The mom was pregnant with the 6th when she became a widow, so she took students in, and they were just delightful. It was an expansive time of learning and continuing to fall in love with life, the Spanish language, people, and diverse cultures. After graduating in social work and Spanish, I volunteered for a year in Bogota, Colombia, with a small nonprofit called Christian Foundation for Children and Aging, which is now called Unbound. It's like a sponsorship where you sponsor a child for $30 a month and the help goes directly to the children. All the projects were in the hands of local people with this grassroots organization, as they knew best the needs of those they served. I lived in an orphanage during the week and worked in inner city poor neighborhoods on the weekends. My dear Margaret also volunteered, and we were hosted by a beloved Colombian family who treated us as the daughters they never had. It was a rich time of learning, including some very hard truths about poverty and how it affects our human family and the planet. It was there in Bogota where I met the man I married, and we lived there for 3 years before returning to the United States. We have 2 beautiful grown daughters who we raised in a bilingual, bicultural home. Over the years, I continued to be active in peace and justice work and to serve Spanish-speaking immigrant families from Central America. My passion continues to this day to deepen my faith and grow in awareness of our global family, so beautifully represented in this image of the Earth from space. Also, the Earth flag is something that I've flown at my home for years. Maybe something we might think about as a congregation. Through all of this, I have learned that what unites us is so much more important than our differences. And we are so much more alike than different. Every one of us wants to love and be loved. We want our children and beloveds to be safe and well, to have a home, an education, food to share, friends, happiness, and peace. It doesn't matter what name we call God or how or if we pray. Personally, I believe that we are all made of the same divine light, the same stardust of the universe, and that the planet and all life upon it is one love.
Thank you, Susan. And what I think is amazing from our 2 stories is that we come from such different places. She came from being on the ground in these poverty-stricken areas and seeing the reality of inequity and poverty from a first hand. And I came from more of an institutional background. And when I traveled to Latin America, which I did for 25 years, I was driven around in armored cars because I was representing the US government. And yet I still saw some of the same things that Susan saw, primarily from working with NGOs, human rights NGOs in all of these countries, and dialoguing with them from the perspective of the US government and the government of that country. So the fact that we've ended up in the same place is really remarkable to me, and it says a lot about the unity of the human family. So I will try to make it short, to just kind of wrap it up a little bit and say that I think viewing the entire planet and our entire human family as one is entirely congruent with our UU faith, our principles, and our values. And I personally, at least this is my perspective, I think a lot of us became UUs because we felt driven to do something, to do whatever we can to create a more just and loving world. But this is what I'm seeing right now. We've made great progress in so many ways toward building the world that we dream about, but we're backsliding. It's dangerous not to face that reality. We have grave global problems, climate change, autocratic government movements that are growing in strength around the world, including in our own country, and the ever-present possibility of nuclear war. So these dangers, if they're left to grow out of control further, will impact us all and could impact us in truly horrific ways. I believe creating a positive future for all of our kids and all of our grandkids and their grandkids requires wise, moral people who practice planet-based and people-based leadership to lead us. So it behooves all of us to study closely who our political candidates are and vote seriously and wisely. But electing wise leaders is only part of the solution, in my view. The other part is a revolution of the hearts, of millions and millions of hearts. And that is where we as UUs really can come in learning and modeling a new way to live together in peace. You know, in numbers, we UUs are a small faith. If we hope to have a profound impact on the world, we are compelled not only to punch above our weight, and thankfully we have a history, many Unitarians and Universalists have done so in the past, but also we need to do a really great job at partnering, at working with others in local, national, and global partnerships. The wonderful thing about that is, working in true partnership can be so enriching and so beautiful in its own right. Creating a world that truly reflects one planet, one people, one peace, is within our human capability. But let's be real with each other. It's never been done before in human history. But then again, human existence on this planet has also literally never been in such existential peril. So if not now, then when? So this is where the symbol of the earth from space and our awareness of the unity of the human family can fit in. The true understanding that that Earth is home to all of us, as Rusty Schweikert said. Does this have the power to inspire us enough to protect the Earth and all its inhabitants? You know, in preparing for the service, I was reminded again of the optimism so many of us felt back in the day, 40 years ago, in the beginnings of the Beyond War movement. And I felt a combination of nostalgia, but more importantly than that, just tremendous sadness. You see, when the Cold War ended, leaders of the Beyond War movement believed that the battle had been won. They disbanded the group. Well, they changed the focus to something totally different. And they were so mistaken. Because the problem of violence and war has obviously not been solved. And today, I believe we are in more danger than ever. So yes, the image of Earth from space, concept of one human family is powerful, but only if we lift them up and live our lives with this reality at the center of everything we do. But what would that look like? If what we have said today, this morning, has caused us to think anew, and possibly even to worry more than we already were, what do we do with that? What are we called to do to really protect our children and our grandchildren and their grandchildren and our beautiful Blue Boat home? What could we imagine? How could we do what has never been done before? And who could we partner with to make the impossible possible? What astonishing new ideas can we dream up together? Maybe, just maybe, it is time at River of Grass for a one planet, one people, one peace team to unleash our imagination, or a Blue Boat Home task force. We already have the Green Team, which does amazing work. So not to denigrate that in the slightest, but maybe a different focus too of one human family together. Susan and I are really eager to hear your thoughts during hospitality hour. We're going to stay here in the sanctuary, maybe after we grab some coffee, and we'd love to have you come back and just tell us what your thoughts are on these topics. And now, we are ready for our beautiful hymn, So Beloved, Blue Boat Home. Every time we sing it, as you notice, people stand up and grab each other and start swaying together. It comes naturally, and I think it's the power of this idea on our collective force. On our collective soul, I should say.
Still my drive and dark and sing.
Beautiful. But I can take all the emotion this morning. At Rivercrest, we offer so many ways to live out our Unitarian Universalist faith. You will find them in our weekly email that comes out on Thursdays. You can find it on our Facebook page and also our website. Here are just a very few upcoming opportunities to fulfill the mission and vision of our congregation. The Spiritual Art Group, yay! After being dormant for several years, we'll meet here next Saturday at 2 p.m. We will discuss possible things we could do, such as an open studio, ideas for wall art here above the chancel. We could also study the book, The Artist's Way, A Spiritual Path to Higher Creativity. And the meeting will also be on Zoom. So if you would like to attend, please see the man in the green sweatshirt here right in front, Steve Jens Rockow. We also have a request from our facilities team, our ushers, if you would all take your hymnals as you exit toward the hospitality area and put them back on the rack, which is right over there by the door. And I would like to say that this Thursday, April 18th, there will be a meeting. We believe it'll be here, but watch your emails for You the Vote. So this is our denomination's way of getting involved in the crucial elections that are coming up this year in November. So we hope that you will attend that. And as I said, Susan and I would love to talk to you about any ideas you have related to the service this morning.
Thank you.
Need to redeem myself for the last verse. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great winds urging me on, read the infinite sea before me, sing the song, a sailor's song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port have I known. My universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue
Just beautiful. I think that's a favorite of a lot of people. Our closing words this morning come from our wisdom story, Old Turtle, and it's very short. After a long, lonesome, and scary time, the people listened and began to hear, and to seek God in one another, and in the beauty of all the earth. And Old Turtle smiled, and so did God.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. In these changing times, let us be all the more vigilant to hold before us a vision of the world transformed, and to dare to transform ourselves to make it so. Until we meet again, shine on! To those